Well, alright everyone, iOS 17.2 has finally released to the public, and we have a full video encompassing everything that came out with 17.2, but one of the biggest features, or at least one of the biggest products that came out, was the new Journal app for iOS. Now, to begin with, this is only for iOS, not macOS or iPadOS, and everything revolving around the new journaling app, as well as suggestions and things that it pulls from, is all going to be based on your iPhone and iOS, so that's something to take note of. Maybe eventually they will trickle it down to iPadOS and macOS, but for now, it is all iOS and iOS 17.2 based, but I wanted to do a full in-depth walkthrough because the journaling app has been a little bit more powerful than I thought it was going to be. But without further ado, let's talk about the journaling app, all the ins and outs, and an in-depth walkthrough. Let's get into it. Alright everybody, so once you update to 17.2, you will automatically get the journaling app and it'll show up on your home screen, usually on the second page, even if you do have some room, and it's going to start immediately once you open it up. And I do actually want to show off some splash screens of what you see first once you open it up. So this is going to be the welcome splash screen that says welcome to journal, write about your day and add photos, places and more, lock your journal to keep it private, and schedule a time for writing and making a habit. So Apple does make it known immediately that this is end-to-end encrypted and it's part of iCloud, so this is all going to be very personal and nobody else is going to be able to see this nor be able to use this to kind of show advertisements towards you after the fact. So that's an amazing thing to see. And then also, this is something that I'm going to recommend you turn on. After using it for a while, I think this is going to be the best way to really fully take advantage of what the journaling app is for. And it's going to be the journaling suggestions, and basically what it means is that it's going to curate based on all the different applications that you're using. So the photos application, the cameras application, your location data, all that good stuff. It's going to stay private, but it's going to start to suggest certain situations that happen for you during those days. Like for instance, this past weekend was my daughter's birthday, and it basically auto-compiled the location, the photos, the videos, the people that were there. Everything was compiled into one nice post that was easily replicated and put into this actual journaling application. So highly suggest leaving this on. And then Apple does reiterate just how private the journaling app is going to be. So your journal only has access to suggestions when you start writing about them or save them. The information used to create suggestions such as photo workouts is also shared with your journal at that time. So basically, know that it's going to be very private and it's going to be very easy to use, and the peace of mind is there. Because Apple created the journaling app to kind of improve mental health and kind of put that as top of mind, so they're not going to make you worry about kind of sharing your private data. But now that we got all that out of the way, let's jump into the journaling app and give you guys a little bit of a walkthrough as to what it actually looks like. So when you open up the journaling app, this is what you're greeted with. It's going to be in chronological order what your latest up-to-date journals are, right? So here we have, this is my daughter's birthday from about a year ago because it shows on this day, December 10th, 2020, and then my daughter's birthday from this past weekend, a journal entry that I had that's kind of suggests questions, but basically it shows you everything that you need to see on here. And there's only two options. You have your filter option on the top right hand corner, which lets you filter based on photos, videos, reflections. So if I do just reflections, it's going to show just that reflection question. If I do places, it'll show off places. And then also all the entries are there as well. So I like to keep it on all entries, especially for now since there isn't that many data points for me. But then the only other button is the plus button. And this plus button is exactly what you think it does, and it's going to start a new journal kind of entry for you. And this is what I mean when it comes to suggestions, right? So the suggestions on here, it does give you these predetermined kind of journal entry starting points in order to get this going. So you can kind of scroll through these and it lets you decide, hey, what do you want to do? You have a reflection type question, maybe a midnight walk that I took the other day to walk my dog, being in Manhattan. So if I want to click on this one, it's going to kind of put something together for you. You can then rename it if you want. I'm going to do maybe the tree lighting. Press confirm. It's going to show you one location, 2 photos that were taken, and you can kind of change the date as well. But I can start writing, and you can write whatever you want, right? This is kind of an open book. You can write one word, you can write a paragraph, whatever the case may be. I like to keep it short and sweet. And then you press done, and then it's going to show up in your journal app right there again, like I mentioned earlier, in chronological order. So some other things that can be done inside of this actual homepage is that you do have the ability to bookmark these. So you can bookmark it by tapping on there, and it will be bookmarked. And then you can unbookmark it as well. And then if you swipe to the left, you can edit it, or you can actually completely delete it with the trash button. And then if you do want to kind of go in here and see these again, you just tap on it and you can kind of scroll through the pictures, see where you were in terms of location, see some more pictures. And then, like I mentioned, if you do want to edit it, you can press edit and then change up the actual verbiage. You can also bookmark it from there. And then the 3 dots here also allows you to change the actual date. So let's say for some reason you want to change the date of this actual situation. You can do that. You can do either entry date, the moment date, so the day that it actually happened, or you can do a completely custom date. So it really just depends on how you want to organize your new journal. Do you want it to be based on when you actually do the journal entry? Do you want it to be based on those times of days when it actually happened? Or do you just want to create something completely separate and do it as a custom date? So just from an experience standpoint, I think Apple absolutely nailed the journaling app because for a lot of people, journaling is just difficult to start with because it takes up time. It's something that you don't really know how to do. But when you press this plus sign and you make sure you have your suggestions on, Apple is getting you like 80 to 90% of the way there when it comes to adding a journal entry, which is amazing. So then once you're all set and done, you really just have to kind of complete that last 10%, which at the end of the day is a net positive to be able to get you to actually write these journal entries. So for instance, what I like about this one is that I can actually click on this and it starts to pull from data from all the applications in the iOS and Apple ecosystem. So here I actually did a 45-minute workout, so I ran around, and while I ran around, I actually listened to the Waveform podcast on the podcast application, so I kind of start writing. So you just write that down, press done, and then that is your new journal app. So you can kind of journal that you went on a nice run, that you listened to the Waveform podcast, and now it's going to be there. And what I like about it is that it does give you all that artwork and everything that you visually need to see to actually remember when you're going through your journal entries of, oh wow, I did this, oh wow, I did that, and then you're good to go. And it is pulling from all these other applications, which is amazing. And now, as of right now, there's only on first-party applications like the podcast app, like the fitness app, and things like that. But Apple is opening this up in terms of third-party APIs to allow other applications. So if you're a Spotify user, it should be able to do the same thing if you listen to your podcast through Spotify, to be able to pull that data from Spotify and be able to suggest it in the actual journaling app. And then I quickly wanted to have a section here of the actual journaling application settings. So you do have to go into your settings to open up this menu, but there's a few settings that you should take into account. So the skip journaling suggestions, if you turn this on and I go back into my journaling app and then I press a plus button, now all those suggestions that were coming up before are now gone. So if you just want to have a plain kind of canvas to write down all of your thoughts and not have any suggestions kind of deciding what you want to write down, by all means go for it. Like I mentioned earlier, love the suggestion, so I'm going to keep that turned on, or I guess turned off by skipping it. You can actually lock your journal, so you can actually do a different passcode. So let's say you have a passcode that's to enter into your phone. You can actually create another password completely separate from that passcode to actually get into your journal because, again, this is supposed to be very intimate, a very private application. And then you have your journaling schedule, so you can actually suggest on a time basis as well as on a daily, weekly, whatever the case may be. So like every Sunday at noon, I want to be able to write down my journal entry so it'll remind you with a notification to get that on. I'm going to leave this turned off for now, but that's up to you. And then you also have this media toggle right here, which is save to photos. So save photos and videos taken in the journal to the Photos application because you do have the ability to go into your journal app, press a plus sign, do a new entry, type whatever you want, and then actually go into the actual Photos app, press continue, allow, and you can actually take a picture of exactly what you're doing in that moment. So now I can press allow once. So that's going to be my new photo when I open up this journal entry, and that photo will be now saved into my camera roll as well. Press done, and that is me because that's exactly what I was doing. So you can see that I'm actually making a YouTube video and things of that nature. So I'm going to trash that, remove the photo, and then actually totally remove this entry, and then I'm good to go. And then like you saw in the actual posting of the entry, you can actually add your location, which is awesome to see. So the actual location, you can add a voice memo, you can add a photo taken from the camera roll, you can take an actual photo from your photo library. And as you saw, it did tell you right there that it's only going to select photos or share photos and save photos that you let it save. And then you have this button right here, which is again your recommendations to let you kind of get started on one of these journal entries. So overall, like I mentioned, the journal application is very robust. Now I do wish, for instance, that I could kind of go into one of these photos and then kind of go into this section of my photo library to figure out maybe some other photos from this time, because this is over a year ago now at this point, and I want to be able to maybe pick some photos. But again, it doesn't let me do that. So being able to click out of the journaling application and go to that corresponding application is something that's still missing. But overall, the journaling app for a 1.0 version is amazing, and it's going to be able to get the job done. And Apple's doing a really good job of making it very easy to use. Again, that's the name of the game, being as frictionless as possible, getting from point A to point B, and making it as simple to use. And I think Apple nailed it with the journal app. But that's everything that you have. Very simple, very self-explanatory. Let's finish up this video. And that will just about do it for this video, everybody. Leave a comment down below if you like the journaling app. Is it something that you're going to be using on a day-to-day or weekly basis? For me, the journaling app, like I mentioned earlier, is a little bit more powerful than I anticipated. I wasn't somebody that journaled on a daily basis or pretty much at all, but now with these kind of recurring themes, and I think what Apple did is they nailed how easy it is to do. You don't need to go out and buy a journal. You don't need to use a pen. You don't have to sit there and remember to write something down. The ease of use and how easy it is to kind of remember what you did that day by suggesting maybe photos that you took that day or suggesting locations, and then just giving you a 1 or 2 or 3 sentence kind of little blurb to let you know what you did that day, I think is an amazing thing to see, because journaling can be very powerful. I'm already somebody that gets nostalgic and goes and gets lost in old photos and things like that, especially now that we're parents and being able to see our daughter grow over the last 2 years. But now having the journal app is going to get you a little bit more in depth in terms of what you did, how you did it, who you were with, what photos were taken, what applications were used, and things like that, that, and again, it's all digestible, it's easy to do, and it's easy to actually implement into your daily life. And that's what I think Apple really nailed when it came to the journaling app. It's just the ease of use and how quickly you can kind of put down a memory without having to really think about it, without making you feel bad for forgetting and things of that nature. And being able to retroactively add things is also a nice little added bonus. But that's going to do it for this video, everybody. Like I mentioned, let me know what you think about the journaling app. Is it something you're going to use? Leave a little dolphin in the comments down below if you made it to the very end of this video. And if you guys want to watch some more iOS, iPadOS, or macOS videos, including Jeff's walkthrough of 17.2 in totality, click on one of these videos right here. But until next time, I'm Fernando, and I'm out of here, everybody. Peace.